Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 1283 for 29th of August. The situation report or the summary for the Ukraine war, the special military operation in Ukraine. So this wrap comes a little bit late because I was accompanying my girl to watch like to have a movie night, like watching Netflix. So yeah, father thing. So anyway, yeah, so no choice. But so the sit reps still I think I want to do, because I felt a bit more comfortable doing the sit rep on a more regular basis, because I've tried this many days many days one sit rep, right, 2-3 days. I even did 1 5 day then do a sit rep. I felt like a lot of the details, a lot of the information get watered down, and yeah, so that's the main thing. Is a hard thing to do because sit rep takes a lot of energy. It sometimes get very long. So anyway, this is the Sumi front, by the way. This Sumi, and over the Sumi front, the Russian Defense Ministry have a weekly report. So for the every Friday is a weekly summary. So there is no mapping for the Russians reporting. For at least for the Ministry of Defense, there is a geolocation, however, of a Max Pro that was hit around this forest region at Velikipilakyu. So yeah, this is not a active front line. This is previously part of the Belgorod sector of this Sumi front, but that's about it. Moving on to the Kharkiv front. At the Kharkiv front, we have some. So let me see. How do I zoom in? Zoom out? Zoom in. Yeah. So I can zoom in a bit more. So the fighting is largely similar to yesterday. We're fighting reported at Klipoke as well as Voshchansk. There is a new one at Prilipka. So I haven't seen fighting being reported at Prilipka since forever. The last one was only once on the 15th of December in 2024, and Prilipka is actually across the river, the Severskyi Donets river. So for the Russians to attack here, they have to cross. So potentially this could also just be, yeah, but it's a Ukrainian Defense Ministry report. So the Russians must have tried to cross the river or, fight in this sector here. Potentially they could also, have dominated Brovaka, fully capturing it, crossing the bridge, reaching to Prilipka or through the forest. That is also possible. So well, we will continue to monitor to see whether this turns out to be anything. So tentatively, I don't think it's much. So that's all from the Kharkiv front. We move on to the next front line, the Voronezh front. At the Voronezh front, there is nothing being reported in the northern sector. Along the Oskil River, we have fighting being reported mainly over in Kupiansk and Vikholivka. So this is Voronezh over here. So this is pretty nothing special. If you ask me, the fighting here continues in this sense. But yeah, that's it from this Voronezh front. The next front line is over in the Kupiansk. This is Kupiansk, and there's nothing around the east and the southern flank. So we'll zoom in over to the Kupiansk northern region of the Kupiansk. So fighting is reported at Kupiansk, probably in the northern regions of Kupiansk, where the Russians may be conducting some offensive operation in this sector here. Ukrainian mapping claim that they have taken this much grounds, including part of Moskovka, in a counterattack. This is mapped by Deep State UA, the pro-Ukrainian source, claiming this is a successful counterattack, and they are attacking towards the Rakivka, trying to take back lost grounds. So this is an interesting mapping. We shall see whether this means anything, as the maybe the Ukrainians may want to do a flanking operation to cut off the Russian offensive in the north of Kupiansk, which is not impossible. I think this is a possible thing to do, but whether they have the power to do it remains to be seen. We have some major forests at Rakivka, so let's see how this continue to play out. We move on to the next front line, the Borova front. So this is Borova. At the Borova front, we only have one report of fighting at Zaporizhzhia. There is some frontline change noted previously already. This is actually from 27th. So just another note for those that actually look at these mappings by yourself. I have decided to do another experiment, which is the frontline changes mapping will be multi days, but the reporting itself will be daily. So that's the new thing I'm trying to see whether it reduce my workload and also add on to more things that I can talk about. Like how to say, like when I look at the frontline changes report, where we report how the movement of the front line in the SITREP or something, we can see more days of frontline change in the map. So that is the main gist. So it's constant iterations to see how we can improve the reporting, and we move on. Just some comments. On Twitter, there is some big hoo-ha previously because AMK mapping did some ranking and and ranked, and so some of the DPA supporters was very unhappy because he ranked DPAs in the mid tier, lower than even Whip Union or Military Summary. I mean, lower than Military Summary, I wouldn't be surprised, because he have his own proprietary mapping. But then someone asked him why, and he said that because the mapping is very hard to understand. Which I'm very surprised for a mapper who don't understand how to read my map. But then you guys know how to read my map, so it's like, never mind, But the thing is, I did explain to people who told me about it. I say that no, you have to understand the maps. Everybody's mapping serve a different purposes, different purpose. My mapping is purely to indicate source of information, and I also don't really indicate every single nonsense happening in Ukraine war. It's mainly the important things, or at least what is important for my reporting. The main purpose is to facilitate reporting on YouTube nowadays. Initially, in the beginning of the war, the idea was to track where the Russians are. That was the first 30 days. I'm trying to track where the hell the Russians go, where is the fighting, and to reflect upon mainstream media reporting to see what are the fake news. Because if you follow the mapping, you will know that certain claims don't make sense. It cannot be happened because the Russians maybe overrun the certain positions. The Ukrainians cannot be still fighting in a certain position that is behind. That is already overrun like kilometers away. So that's why mapping is important. And for those that still do not know, every information there is a source. There's every single piece of dot here, even these frontline changes, there's a source to the information where it come from. I do not make anything up. So, and it's very different from some other mappings which never put their sources. So I'll just leave it at that. Some explanation for those that actually live on Twitter or something. So this is the Liman front. So this includes the front, and the northern flank of the Liman front. Fighting is reported at Druzhilivka, Ohievka, Novomikhailivka, Rikurup. Ukrainians were geolocated at Rikurup, indicating some successful counterattack at Rikurup by the Ukrainian forces. Russian forces attacked at Kharkivka. Shandri-Holovey, Ukrainian forces counterattack at Shandri-Holovey, and there's still fighting being reported at Kolozhiazi. So the frontline situation remains largely similar. There is no change to the frontline perception of what's happening right here. Fighting is still ongoing with the Ukrainians. I did mention Shandri-Holovey cannot fall, which is why we are seeing the concentrated counterattack at Shandri-Holovey. So Rikurup was not mentioned, but we do have the geolocation to show that is happening. The Shandri-Holovey one is mentioned by the pro-Russian sources. So there is geolocation of a Russian drone strike, the Lancet strike on the Ukrainian artillery at Lozove. So it shows that artillery is still being used in the conflict, but I don't think it's at the scale of what it used to be. Moving on to the Seversk and South Liman front. So we have fighting being reported over in Zaporizhzhia, Toretsk, towards Yampil. In the Severskyi forestry, the Russians are attacking towards Krasnohorivka and Krasnohorivka. There's fighting in the Seversk side of the Krasnohorivka as well. There's fighting moving towards Donets, and there's fighting reported at Brezhny. So that is the main gist. As if you watch the previous frontline, the previous SITREP, I did mention that this sector here is is where the main fighting is, moving all along all the way up. So the entire main battle zone is this area here, with the main push in these sectors. So these are the main pushes. So so that is the main thing that we should be watching out. In the south here, these are all diversionary or just skirmishes. So nothing particularly much to talk about. In the Bakhmut front, this is Bakhmut. We have fighting reported over in Vasilkivka, Zaporizhzhia, and Proteshny. So that's about it. Pretty routine, I would say. Nothing new about this. Over in the Toretsk front. So I think I can zoom in. So this is Toretsk city. So in this sector here, the fighting is still being reported around the Toretsk region. There's fighting reported at Dilievka, at Klebanbik, Katerinivka, Toretsk, and Shebenivka. And because this is a Ukrainian report, it's hard to tell even where the fighting at Klebanbik come from. Because if the Russians say the front line looks something like this, or DPA say the front line looks something like this, so what the Ukrainian says, I do not know. So probably this, I'm not sure. Maybe these are all taken by the Russian forces and the Russians are attacking Klebanbik coming from the west. It's also possible. We have no freaking idea. Or it could be directly coming from this other side of the opening or the Russian front line, and then the push into Klebanbik. That is also possible. So let's see. There's still no firm information about this, despite the geolocations. It's still not clear enough. There is another geolocation of a Russian airstrike over in Roskishny. This, yeah. So interesting that we have seen some airstrikes here, despite there is no very strong push by the Russian forces in the Stepanivka sector. So let's see. We move on to the Evil Rabbit. This is the Pokrovsk breakout zone. So there is no information. There is no information about any fighting in the breakout zone because the Ukrainians do not acknowledge Russian presence anymore in that sector. Only the Russian side is talking about it. It's a pro-Russian universe that the Russians are still fighting in the breakout zone. From the DPA's standpoint, I think there should be some Russian forces still fighting in the region, but the scale of it is really unclear. The fighting is reported over in Rusinya, Petovka, Volodymyrivka, Mayat, Nikandorivka, Sukhetsky, Rodinsky, as well as Novoekonomishny. So if you look, as I said, there's no Russian reporting. So there's no fighting being reported largely in the years of the Evil Rabbit. You can see where the Ukrainian reports is largely along this line, where the original front line is without the breakout zone. So this is a very, very interesting report from the Ukrainian side. And at Rusinya, we have, I didn't put, it's not a capture. So in the frontline changes report, I noted the Russian forces have captured the southern street of Rusinya. So this is the frontline change I did not mention just now. So we move on to the Pokrovsk sector, the Twin City sector. So we have fighting being reported at Novoekonomishny, as mentioned just now. Fighting is reported at Myrolyubivka, at Khrodivka, with the Russians making some expansion of the zone in this sector here. Fighting is reported at Promin, Minokhrad, probably from the north. It could be coming from the west east as well, it's possible. Fighting is reported at Novopalivka, Novoukrenka, Vivrove, Lyontovishchi. The Prussian sources, Prussian source, Rybats, have just declared the capture of Lyontovishchi. where the Russian Defense Ministry already announced the captures since the 27th. There is the Russian reports saying that so this is a Russian source report that the Russians have attacked into Troyanda. There is still fighting reported in the Pokrovsk region and fighting is reported at Kotliny. So that is the main fighting or the main general picture, of this sector here. You can see a few big arrows, particularly in the southwest of Pokrovsk. Then there's another attack coming from the south. From Minokhrad, there's probably attack coming from the north, and then there is this push coming from the southeast of Minokhrad. So this is the main thing that's happening around the twin city of Pokrovsk and Minokhrad. In the western flank, so after this Kotliny, I just mentioned just now, fighting is reported at Udashny as well. But that's nothing particularly special about that, and there's no reports over in the west or the south of the Pokrovsk front. We go on to the Komar front. So this is Koma. So in the main big picture of the Komar front here, fighting is reported at Filia, and there's fighting reported at Alexandrograd, Voskresenka, Melievka, Komyshuvakha, and the Russian forces have captured Komyshuvakha. I think I will zoom in a bit, and fighting reported at Zaporizhzhia. So according to the Ukrainians, it's not as crazy. There's not so many arrows, but when you put in Russian reporting, it's going to have a lot of arrows. So that's the main thing here. If you zoom in, yesterday I have mentioned this capture. Is it yesterday? No, it's the frontline changes report. I mentioned this capture here, where the impossible salient has been closed by the Russian side, according to the Ukrainian side, Ukrainian report. This is a Ukrainian mapping. However, after that, geolocation have came out with Russia raising the flag in the middle of Komyshuvakha. This confirmed the full capture of Komyshuvakha. In fact, I need to put a flag. I forgot about that. So, Russian forces captured Komyshuvakha. So on the 30th of, so I think 30th, no, it's not 30th, it's actually 31st. Also 30th, correct, it's 30th. So I put the flag for the Russian side. So this is now a confirmed capture with Komyshuvakha captured by the Russian forces. So this small little town here. So the geolocation is here. Ukrainian mapping already considered this, and Russian forces raise the flag like this, showing that they have captured the town. So I think the Ukrainians have withdrawn. So which means this salient here is now slowly becoming absolutely unimportant or irrelevant. So we shall see when this thingy will disappear and get cut off. So let's see. We moving further south. We go to the Huaypole sector. So at the Huaypole sector here, we don't have much new things. I think all the information is pretty much reported already. And we go on to the Zaporizhzhia fronts, Kharkiv and the Kayamsky sector. So this is Kayamsky, this is Kharkiv, and the fighting is being reported at Malatomashka, the Novodanilivka, Nesteryanka, Stepove, and Stepnohursk. So this is all Ukrainian report, Ukrainian Defense Ministry's report. Quite a number of places being attacked, but from experience, none of these are important. The Russians are not going to go for Kharkiv. Consolidation at Stepove is possible, but I think the Russians probably prefer to lure the Ukrainians into retaking trenches that all their comrades has been killed, where the main push is actually going up from Kayamsky to Stepnohursk. I think this is still the main push, which if I pull out here, so just to see, the Russians most likely is trying to push through here. This is the main push. This is a trap. This is trap. They just want the Ukrainians to come back. So that's the main gist of, and this is Zaporizhzhia. And we move on to the last front line. Before I go there, happy birthday to you if your birthday today. And press the like button, subscribe. Today is a pretty chill session, I would say. for the situation report. I will probably I want to do the SITREP on the daily basis again. So let's see whether I can do that. And yeah, but so I will try to make it as chill as possible, because yeah, it's too draining for me as well. So and I need to have more energy for other stuff. So anyway, and Kherson front, there's only fighting reported in the Pre-Dniprovsky direction, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Nothing else, because the Russians did not report. The Russians will probably mention some shelling around Sadove, Antonivka, Mikhailsky, but no, it's not important. No, because there's no true push or offensive in the Kherson front, and that's about it. So and this is the summary for the day of 1283 for the 29th of August. So thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe. Thank you for all the very kind comments, and I truly appreciate it. I saw many of them. I try to read as many as I can. Sometimes I don't manage to read everything, but you know, whenever I do press the like button and heart as much as I can, and I will reply if I find, you know, there's something that I want to reply to. But anyway, that's it. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next update.